Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay. Got up early and went skating this morning, and that's always fun. Yeah.
Doing the bag skate after a tough game last night?
Yeah, my goal is to make the Canadian national men's team, Bruce, when I'm 90. When I'm 90. I figure by then I have a chance. If I just keep at it.
The age group team, yeah. I mean, they're looking for players by then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about like the Olympic team. I'm talking about the plus 80. I don't even know if there's a plus 85 team or the plus 90 team, but so I'm working away. I've yet to peak as a player, is what I'm trying to say. All right.
I'll bet you learned a lot about hockey doing that.
Oh God, yeah. And I've been getting instruction, hanging out with skills coaches and taking, from Jim Fleming. I don't know how old Jim is. Maybe he'd be like right now. Jim Fleming, he's a legendary skills coach in Edmonton. He would be in the running to be on a national team for his age group because he's still a fantastic hockey player.
Yeah.
All right. The bubble is burst. The dam is burst. It's all over. So fire Ken Holland and Dave Tippett while you're at it. And because the Oilers lost an exhibition game, what was it, 6-1?
5-1.
5-1 to the Winnipeg Jets. It was the Jets had a lot of their A players, and the Oilers had no answer for those A players. Let's put it that way. It was a depleted Oilers lineup. In terms of NHL players, surefire NHL players, there was Fogle, Cassian at forward, and then everyone else is in a competition. On defense, there's Cuckoo and Bouchard, Cece, and everyone else is in a competition. So we have five NHL players on that Oilers team, and then a number of other guys who are still in the running. So it wasn't.
The Winnipeg team was chock-a-block with NHLers, including most of their top players.
Yeah, that Scheifele line, wow. They just dominated. I actually kind of felt sorry for. I noticed Tyler Benson was up, and his line was up against that line a lot, and that's a tough assignment for those guys trying to make an impression. And Bruce, this is our Two Good Things, Two Bad Things, and Two Numbers podcast. We'll just stick to one bad thing and one, like it's an exhibition game. It's not over. Let's not. I've actually there was lots I liked in that game, strangely enough. So I could actually do two good things. If you want to do that, it would be against.
We can just talk about the game a little bit before we get into our good thing. I like it. The Winnipeg game is always interesting. The at Winnipeg game is always interesting in the preseason.
Yeah.
The Oilers have one every year, except for obviously this past season. And it is a game where you don't want to necessarily be on that flight to Winnipeg unless you're scrabbling for a job and you want to get every chance that you can to show your stuff. And the veterans generally do not go. The stars generally do not go. And what we see is what we got tonight, which was last night's game in reverse, where the visiting team was just not up to the quality of a stacked home side with predictable results. And the Oilers, there were only 5 guys who played last night, and 4 of the 5 are battling for jobs. And Evan Bouchard is battling to prove that he can handle the NHL grind of playing two days in a row in 2 different cities. And otherwise it was Niemelainen and Benson and Mcleod and Sevier that played last night, and all the top guys, of course, stayed back. And they wound up sending what the team that played tonight looked a fair amount like how the Bakersfield Condors are going to look in a month's time. So
yeah, I think only one player, Bruce, in the running for a job with the Oilers improved his case based on tonight's game. Just one. Who do you think that was? Like, who do you think I'm talking about? Who would you guess? Not one of the 5 who we mentioned before, but one of the guys battling for a job. I'd say one. Who would you might have a different person, so let's find out if we agree.
Yeah, okay. Well, I would have guessed maybe Sevier, but he played last night, so it sounds like that you were thinking of somebody who hadn't been
No,
in
it
last
could
night.
be someone who played last night.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'd say Sevier. I didn't actually notice Sevier that much, honestly. Like I
Well, that's a
wouldn't
good thing in this game.
I wouldn't say Sevier actually. Well, with the forward though, you want to notice the
Yeah.
forwards. You don't want to notice the
I
defenseman.
noticed a few things, like just the honest grinder type things that he did. I don't
I'm
think he
not
hurt his
I'm
cause.
not feeling it, Bruce, with
Mhm.
Sevier. Maybe
Yeah.
others are. I'm not.
I,
I thought William Lagesson would be my pick.
he
I
was all
thought
right.
he played his best game of the preseason and was the one defenseman. Like he didn't. I don't know if he was even on for a goal against. Let me just check that. I don't believe that he was.
-1.
Oh, -1 he was. I just thought he. I don't know if did he make a mistake on that goal? I don't recall that he did. He wasn't on for like the big mistakes. There was a few
Yeah.
really big mistakes.
Hmm.
I thought he was like physically he was up to that game.
Hmm.
He matched the Jets, who are a fairly big, fast team. He matched that and was able to hold his own against a big, fast lineup defensively, and he moved the puck okay. So yeah, I thought William Lagesson showed himself to be an NHL defenseman against some good NHL players tonight, and was mistake free. A couple other defensemen were fine, but they made big mistakes. One big
Right.
mistake, and we'll get to that in a second.
Lagerson made a couple of really big stops in the slot of what looked like to be very dangerous chances, if not certain goals, if the puck got through.
Yeah, this coach only played him 1757, so they're not loving Wild Bill with the ice time so far in the preseason.
Mhm.
But yeah, I did,
Wow.
and I thought it was when Niemelainen and Kesselring had a tough start to that game. They were both running around, and it's when they split those guys up. I think and put them with Cece and Lagesson that the Oilers settled down a bit more, and those two young players settled down a bit more. And yeah, I thought Wild Bill was good. What's your good thing, Bruce? What would you say was the good thing in that game?
Well, my poster boy good thing is Brad Malone, who got the goal for the Oilers on a brilliant outside shot. Really good shot that beat Connor Hellebuck in a game where Hellebuck I thought was pretty strong. He wasn't pounded with shots by any means, but he was not easily beaten. But Malone beat him with a good outside shot. It was kind of funny. There was about 2 minutes left in the second period, and I was talking with my wife, as commonly happens during an Oilers game, and she was saying, uh, was wondering who of the Oilers might be likely to break through and score a goal, if anybody. And I was saying, well, if anybody, I don't really like our chances. And before she could even reply, Brad Malone had put the puck in in the net. As soon as I said, I don't like our chances, so was I considered it a victory for me, uh, putting the hex on reverse. Anyway, it was a great shot by Malone, but I'm picking him as one of actually four guys that are my good things, and I just want to give shout outs to these guys and players like these guys, Adam Cracknell, uh, and Seth Griffiths, Luke Esposito, and Brad Malone, guys that are hard old pros that have been around for a while. This game tonight's probably the closest thing those guys are going to get all season to playing against an NHL team with NHL caliber players in it. Three of them are committed strictly to AHL, and the fourth, Seth Griffith, is a pretty long shot to get a look with the Oilers at any point. And yet, those four guys, you saw these games last year, David. Those guys were key to
Um,
Bakersfield's success in the playoffs up front. I mean, Cracknell and Griffith on a line with Raphael Lavoie, they were filling the net in the playoffs. And wasn't Malone the captain of the team? And
I believe so. Yeah.
yeah, and Esposito is one of these heart and soul grinders that you'd be happy to have at the 3C. Well, he's that caliber player, but at the American League level. But just brings it every night, and he brought it tonight. And they all brought it tonight, and I thought that for the going to Winnipeg game where you have to catch a flight in the morning, fly to Winnipeg, play that night, and fly home that same night, which is why why the vets don't particularly like this game. And Jason Strudwick has a great story about that, by the way. That uh, these guys welcome the chance, and Brad Malone, man, was he hitting? How many hits did he have tonight? 4, I'm guessing. Yeah,
Four, led the
4.
team with 4 hits.
Yeah, yeah, and a couple of them were real tough hits. Like he just didn't back off at all, and he brought what he had, and he scored the goal that at least got the 0 off the board. And so hats off to those guys. I think they, you know, we won't be talking about them much in November and December. So let's talk them up a little bit now and say, I for one appreciate players like that populate the high minor leagues and make it the level hockey that it is.
I'm a big Luke Esposito fan. Watching the Condors games, that
Yeah.
guy, he hits
Tough, eh?
people. He hits them hard. If he was like a step faster, he'd
Mhm.
be a strong fourth liner in the NHL because of
Yep.
his. He is fearless and he goes after people. He hits them hard. He hit someone hard tonight. A
Yep.
bit of a late hit. Yeah. So
Oh yeah,
he's
that one.
Mark Messier's nephew, right? He's got some genetics that Mark shared with Mark Messier. I'm going to say from the way he plays the game, he's fierce and you know, not great skill, but at the AHL level, he's a very useful hockey player.
I'll say
Yeah, he really is.
PKer, grinder, minute muncher, punisher of opposition.
My good thing, Bruce, is the 3 Oilers acquisitions, new players on the Oilers from this,
Mhm.
like players who weren't in the organization last year.
Yeah.
Warren Fogle, Cody Cece, and Xavier Bourgault. And I'm sure as soon as I said Cody Cece's name, a lot of people are saying, what the F? Because he made one horrendous mistake on a goal against where he misread the play at the blue line, got blown around, and there was a breakaway and a goal as a result. And fair comment that did we all saw
It did
it.
happen, yeah.
It did happen. That's a fair comment. That said, I'm just so I'm mainly rating CC as someone who hasn't watched him closely and watched him closely for the first time, and kind of was going with some amount of trepidation, you know, and right down to the fact that he wore Mark Fane's number 5 out there, Bruce. And we all know how I feel about Mark
I thought
Fane.
it was Steve Smith's old number 5.
Well, there you go. There you go. There's some good lineage for the number
Doug
5.
Hicks, Doug Hicks, old number 5. There you go.
Doug Hicks. Doug Hicks, yeah. Okay. Doug Hicks had his moments, but he just had a tough time stopping players burning down that wing to the outside. Doug Hicks did now and then. So Cody Cece, I just was impressed with his, you know, the skill set. I thought he could really skate, he can move the puck, defend a bit. Like he's kind of an average at everything, but
Yeah,
you know,
yes.
he's kind of a little bit okay at everything. He's okay at everything, and maybe that's going to add up to an okay player here
Hmm.
for the Oilers. You know, we'll see over time, but he was more effective than I had feared he wasn't going to be. That I feared he was, you know, I was afraid he wasn't going to, you know, just was going to be too vanilla out there and not get much done. But I thought he was okay. Thought he played well. He won a lot of battles. You know, he didn't win them all, but he won. He hung in there against a good Jets team as well. So yeah, I'm going to go with Cody Cece. Fogle, fast and aggressive, and goes to the net and has a nose for the puck. I liked his game a lot, and you know, I liked Ethan Bear a lot, but watching Evan Bouchard now, like something had to give there. I guess you could have Bear instead of Cece. That's a different argument, but you know, I'll Bouchard needed to be there needed to be room in the lineup for Evan
Yeah.
Bouchard. There is now, and anyway, Fogle is from what I'm seeing. You know, fair recompense so far for Ethan Bear. We'll see who turns out to be the better player down the road. But he's a fast, big, tough forward with the nose for the net and a little bit of skill. The Oilers could really they needed that. They need it now, and they got it in this player. So first impression is they didn't get stiffed in this trade. Like they got a real
They got a
NHL
player.
player.
They
They
got a
got a
player, yeah.
player or someone who can go and someone who's big and tough, and I like that about him. Finally, Xavier Bourgault,
Hmm.
the first pick. Bruce, I really am liking that guy's class, as they say of European soccer footballers.
Hmm.
He has real calm with the puck. He makes nice plays with the puck. He doesn't seem to be overwhelmed at all by being in an NHL
Yes.
game. Makes me think that the World Junior team, like I know he's on the outside of maybe making that team, they should think again about this player.
Hmm.
He's got a very calm head and absolutely fantastic hands for making
Yes.
passes, and he wins his fair share of puck battles, even though he's 18 years old. Yeah, no, it's like, whoa, this could work. This could be a player. This could be a top 6 NHL winger in 2
3
years,
years.
2 or 3 years. The wingers develop fast, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
it'll be a couple years, right? Like he'll need. I think does he have just 1 year left of junior?
Just 1 year left.
Yeah,
He's a
and
late
then
birthday again.
half a year in the AHL at least. We could assume
Mhm.
that, right?
Yeah, okay.
But it could happen fast because he looked at he looked against again a tough Winnipeg Jets team. He was making plays, and
Got nice hands, eh?
does he ever? Yeah,
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 no. That was if I had to complain about Fogel's game tonight, which is the first time I've seen him play in a full game, is that his hands let him down a couple times around
yeah,
the net. He got good chances, but he wasn't able to really do much with them. But Borgo, for a guy that never had an official shot on net, but boy, I liked some of his plays along the boards and in some of the high traffic areas. He's pretty silky with the puck on his stick. And as I say, his panic point seems to be very low, and that's a real nice place to start.
yeah. Let's move on to the bad things. What's your bad thing, Bruce?
Well, I'm going to single out Evan Bouchard tonight, in part just because he's been getting so much love and everybody's liking
Yeah,
everything he's doing, and just for balance. I mean, all of these guys, they have
yeah,
good things, they have bad things. And tonight we saw from Bouchard, I saw at least more of the potential weaknesses in his game and just some of the strengths that tonight weren't particularly strengths. Like he's noted for getting his shots through. Well, tonight he tried 5 shots and 4 of them got blocked. They weren't getting through, and his passes weren't always clicking. They were either getting deflected or they weren't finding the target. And I didn't find that the play flowed through him particularly well. And on the other side of the puck, when Winnipeg had it, they really lit him up a couple of times. One that turned out to be a goal where the guy went wide on him, cut in on net, and the rebound bounced up and it hit Austin Poganski. I think that was his goal. Kind of
yeah,
hit him in the body and bounced in. Well, that was after Bouchard had been burned to the outside, and his partner Cuckoo came in and tried to clean up the mess, but they got a bad bounce. And then he also got a bad bounce on the last goal where puck hit his skate and went right to Kyle Connor with the whole open side. I mean, what are you going to do? On the other hand, there was a couple other times where he got burned where Cuckoo, or in one of the cases, one of the goalies bailed him out. And I just thought for a test of a guy, playing against a tough team where he was basically top pairing or, one of the two top pairings, that Winnipeg exposed him a little bit.
yeah.
And so,
Fair enough. I still liked a lot of his moves under
oh,
pressure
there,
with the
there are
puck.
things he does that I just love. And
Yeah, but
that
you're
was
right.
tonight
He
too.
did he ever get walked by Ville Heinola? I mean, that was, if that happened to Adam Larson more than twice all year last year, it didn't. It didn't. It
Yeah,
happened maybe once, right? Like early in the year, Larson made a bad decision and got beat. And that
right.
was like in terms of getting walked like that, you know, it doesn't happen. And same with the Cece mistake. Larson didn't
Right.
make many mistakes. And these are the two players, they're coming in and someone's got to take Adam Larson's minutes. And this is an issue for the Oilers. Do they have someone on the right side? Um, between Cece, Bouchard, and Barry, who can they put out there against really tough competition and get
Right.
the job done?
Yeah.
And so it's Cece got beat once really badly. So did Bouchard. So they're gonna have that can't happen consistently. It can hardly ever happen. Is the truth. if you're going to play against tough competition, because they will eat you alive in the NHL. Like that will if it happens to you, it could happen to you 15, 20 times a year, which is way too much in the NHL against any competition. So, that's an unanswered question still.
Well, there's getting beat wide and there's getting beat wide, right? If you can push the guy far enough to the outside that he has to cut across between the bottom of the circle and the icing line, the goalie's usually going to be able to deal with that. But if he's able to make that cut inside the face-off circle and take it right to the front of the net with options, trouble is going to ensue, and it did tonight.
Yeah, I thought Bouchard's mistake was particularly not good. You'd expect him to do more, like hit that guy or two-hand him with your stick.
Oh yeah,
take him out.
Oh, well.
Don't get walked like that. I mean, don't injure him. Just trip him. Do something like as you're desperately going for the puck, diving for the puck. Maybe you wipe him out. That's what I was trying to say, Bruce.
You do what Jim Kite did to Paul Coffey in about the 1985 playoffs.
Yeah.
Full diving slash. I don't think so, but I do think he needs to. You got to be able to push that guy out and worsen his angle more than he did on that play.
Fair enough. And so good for you to bring that up. And, I think it is good to temper some of the enthusiasm we have. And
don't
to
hate Evan Bouchard.
You hate him. I can see it on your face. I can see it in your eyes. Oh, man. Yeah. It's good to temper it because we do have, as I say, we have this issue. Who's replacing Adam Larson's tough minutes on the right side? This is an ongoing question that's not yet answered. Okay. My bad thing. There was a great line in the AHL last year, Ryan McLeod, Tyler Benson, and Cooper Marody, and they tore up the AHL. They might have been the best line in the AHL. And they all came into camp with great hopes. And, they've all had moments. They even had moments this game, all three of them. But, where's the beef? Benson did make one fantastic pass to, I think that was Sevier in the slot.
Mm-hmm.
When Sevier almost scored there, I'm sure that was Benson who fed it over. He's good for a pass like that every game. Like he really is good. But I just, he's not making the mark that he needs to make right now. I don't think, Bruce. If I'm completely I hate saying that because I'm rooting for this guy so much, and I really want him to succeed. So it just pains me to say that. But he's had these 3 games now, right, in the NHL, and as a forward, you want to get noticed. And, he's come close. He almost scored a power play goal the other night on a rebound. He's getting in the middle of it, but he's got to get some results, and he's just got to step it up a little bit more. And again, this line was in tough against the Scheifele line often tonight, I believe. Right. That's a tough assignment for any NHL players, anyone. So that was a really tough one for them. Ryan McLeod's, as the game got going, he was skating well. He started to move his feet more and make some plays. But again, we're not seeing that finish, and we're not seeing just a little bit more drive, just a little bit more inside of the other player's sweater, as they call it, I guess. I always find that a little bit odd, that expression. But anyway, inside, getting into their space, hitting them, bumping them, grinding them. That's what they should all do. Now, maybe the Oilers coaches are looking at these players and they're thinking, you're Staples, you're judging them on their offensive play. Really, what we need to see is defensive consistency and defensive strength. And I can't watch the replay, so I'm having a little hard time grading them on that. And maybe they've all done well enough defensively. Cooper Marody was caught out early in the game defensively in one of the cluster Fs that went on early in the game. Again, he hasn't distinguished himself, probably the least of the 3, Marody. So I want to see more. I was hoping to see more. I haven't seen it.
I saw one nice play out of Marody tonight that a teammate wasn't able to do anything with. I think it was a pass. I don't even specifically remember the details. Other than going, that was a nice look from Marody, and it just didn't turn into anything. But he made a good play. But You're right. I mean, these chances are fleeting. I mean, Tyler Benson's had 3 full games now. Tonight he had 0 shot attempts. One block shot, -2, no hits. I mean, that's not necessarily his game, but none is not a good number. And he he did draw a penalty one time when the stick got slashed out of his hands in the neutral zone, and they drew a penalty. And they actually had some good pressure on the 6-on-5 afterwards. But compared to what his prime opponents are for the 4 and 5 left wing jobs, which are Shore and Perlini, who both had a good game last night. Tonight was Benson's night where he could shine, and they had no chance to shine. So, and unfortunately, it was another fairly so-so night for him.
Alrighty, are we at numbers?
Yes, sir.
Your number, Bruce.
I'm going to go with 23 minutes and 52 seconds, which is Cody Cece's ice time in this game. Number 1 on the team. He also led the Oilers with four of their 18 shots on net in the game. 4 of them came off the stick of Cody Cece. He was even on the night, which you'll recall he got burned on that one goal where he tried to stand up at the blue line, and the one guy chipped it through him to the other guy who walked in. So he did get burned there, and he was on the ice for the one Oiler goal, and otherwise he played 2/5 of the game and basically sawed off his part of a very one-sided game. So I'm suggesting just from that he probably did something right, and my eyeball said, yeah, he did do some things right, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, just sort of the breadth of his game. He does a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and he doesn't like truly stand out in a good or bad way, and on a very wide range of responsibilities.
I didn't notice that. That is a lot of ice time, and it's indicative, like when they're thinking of who's going to be the shutdown guy, maybe we're looking at that guy's going to obviously get that first opportunity. Probably he and Keith are going to be asked to do that kind of work, I'm guessing, early in the year. So good luck with that. Let's hope that works out better, because we spent that's like 5.5 and what is it, 3.3 $9 million worth of defense pairing there. So they got to come through for the Oilers.
Yep.
If the Oilers are going to win, if the Oilers are going to be, like, I think the Oilers are going to be a good team this year. If they're going to be a great team this year, those two players have got to come through in a shutdown role, essentially. My number is 8 and 6. That's Ryan Mcleod on the face-off dot. If he's going to make the Oilers, he's got to win face-offs. He did so tonight against a pretty good face-off team, the Winnipeg Jets. So I think they are. That's my memory from the playoffs. I don't know what the regular season stats will suggest, but that's a good number, and it's something that they're going to, again, if he can do that, that's something other players are going to struggle with. I think, yes, Ryan's a good face-off guy, so I don't know. Like, there's not a ton of competition, Bruce, for the fourth line center job, unless you're going to play Devon Shore there, which is a possibility, I guess. So McLeod's path to a job is wide open.
Right.
And, he really, earlier this year, Ken Holland said that it's Tyler Benson's penciled in and it's his job to lose. Well, maybe, but definitely the case with McLeod, definitely the case. And it's little things like that. And I didn't notice any major defensive mistakes, but again, I'm not going over the replays. There might have been some from McLeod. So if he's taking care of defense and he's winning faceoffs, he can play this year in the NHL, even if the offense, even if he's like a 20-point player or a 17-point player or something like that. If he's killing penalties, winning faceoffs, strong defensively, that's good enough for a player his age. So,
yeah, he made a couple of very sound defensive plays, I thought.
Yeah.
Where one where he read a pass that was going through the lane to a guy in dangerous position, and he was able to get a stick in the defensive slot and cut it out. And that's the sort of emergency play that you need to get from your center occasionally. Yeah, tonight he was 4 of 7 in the offensive zone, 1 for 1 in the defensive zone. So they weren't too much relying on him in that situation. But he got He was 50% or better in all situations.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, we have a game Friday, I guess, Bruce.
Yeah, against Seattle.
Again.
And
Okay.
yeah. They're playing four home and homes, Calgary,
I see.
Seattle, Winnipeg, and Vancouver.
There you
All their
go.
closest geographic rivals, with Winnipeg being about the furthest. Thus, the popularity of the going to Winnipeg road trip that they have every September. You remember that commercial?
No, I
The
don't.
guy was the ball guy. Was a bit of a funny guy. He was going on vacation somewhere, and he found out he was on a plane that was heading for Winnipeg instead of Hawaii. Guess I'm going to Winnipeg.
I've been to Winnipeg. It's a nice city.
Yeah,
The
except for
Forks
the no
is
airport part, eh?
the Forks is nice. We drove there. Yeah, the Forks is nice. The uh, downtown's okay. The river walk's really nice. Edmonton should have something like that. Bruce, I just want to ask you about two developments that happened today. First, there was a story about Adam Larson,
Mhm.
which was pretty interesting. You know, there's been why did he leave has been a major question. And from Larson's own mouth, it sounds like a big factor was the death of his father, which had been rumored in the past.
We've talked
And
about that.
so he talked to reporters about that, and seemed to indicate that he just didn't feel he just needed to move on. Like there was something about being in Edmonton that reminded him of that traumatic event. He talked about his incredible closeness to his father. He thinks about him like I think the quote was every minute of every day or something like that. Like
That sounds
um,
extreme, but yeah.
it did when he said it though. It's like some people really are close to their parents in that way, and if that's hanging over him, you can see that as I can see someone like that being a reasonable explanation for someone just
Turning the
wanting a
page.
fresh slate, turn the page, move on, get on with your life. So that was interesting because we there might who knows if there was other reasons we don't know if there was any other reasons but that's what he's saying and I'll take him at his word. It's it was that quote though where he talked about his his obsessive thinking about his dad that can actually convince me like yeah okay
Right.
this sounds
Mhm.
like a very traumatic obviously traumatic and haunting event for him. So what did you think
Yeah,
of it?
we speculated on that here in the past, and I've tried to put myself in his shoes on that, thinking, the fact that not just that his dad died while he was playing in Edmonton, but while he was visiting Edmonton, and while Adam was on the practice ice, and his dad had they gave some details of the heart attack that he suffered in uh, in Edmonton. So it's indelibly associated with the city. How could it not be? So I don't think it was a matter of him not liking the team or his teammates. He got along fine with them. He certainly had a good role to play on a good team. But when I mean, he was reluctant to sign that extension here, even when the Oilers offered a fifth year. And then when he went to Seattle and he saw what the opportunities were there, and how he really could turn the page by just saying yes, I'll sign. That he said yes, I'll sign, and time to move on. You know what? He played in Edmonton for 5 years that he had on his contract when the Oilers got him. Yeah, he lived up to that contract, and uh, it's really unfortunate what happened. I mean, that's one of the saddest things that's ever happened to an Oilers player while they're were on the
It's
team.
such a young man, like he was just
Oh,
50,
50
wasn't he?
years old
Yeah,
and in like
that's
great
just
shape, former pro hockey player himself, and very close apparently. So
was he
just
just
an
off the
awful state
plane?
of
Was he
affairs.
was
He'd
that the
been here,
indication?
I think he'd been in town for like a day or two, and he was going to
Oh,
stay
okay,
for a few weeks or something. But
right.
there was a very good article today that was up by Maddie, wasn't it?
Jim Matheson, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And that gave some of the background detail.
yeah. Great work by Jim on that one. You're frozen right now on the screen, Bruce. I don't know if you can still hear me or not. Um, the second thing I was going to raise is Josh Archibald, and yeah, there you are. You're back. Um,
Sorry.
Josh, it wasn't you. It was some
Mhm.
computer glitch. It just froze your screen. Josh Archibald. Well, he hasn't made a comment, but was it Tippett or Holland?
Yes, Tippett.
Tippett, who talked about, it was Tippett, who talked about Archibald has some other health problem. They don't know what it is. And he's going for testing right now. And that even if because of this, even if he didn't say whether he wants to change his mind on the COVID shot or not, COVID vaccine, he couldn't get it right now anyway. So what did you make of that?
I don't know what to make of that, David. I really don't. I mean, it's such an odd thing that he's come up with this whatever illness it is, not COVID. They said he didn't test positive for COVID, so it's something else. Just at a time where, decision time about taking that needle, or, I mean, at this moment in time, he could wind up on injured reserve if he's got some kind of illness. I mean, let's see what the doctors have to say. I don't want to doubt his word any more than to doubt Adam Larson's word, but let's see what happens after the medical exam is. If he winds up on long-term injured reserve because he's sick, well, he's sick,
Yeah. Maybe he's got what it is. I'm going to speculate here, Bruce, because I don't know what's in his head and I don't know his physical condition. So this is just pure speculation. So you take it for what it's worth, which is just speculation. But right. I've seen other people struggling with the decision to get a vaccine shot and be under tremendous stress and anxiety because of that. It really, to take a stand like this, anyone who's taking it can sometimes be the first time in their life that they've taken such a stand, and it puts, again, it's just unbelievable pressure on some people when they're doing this. So speculation, it could be something like that. Yeah, stress, incredible pressure and stress that's getting him down psychologically. And again, I just want to repeat, it's just a guess, but maybe that's what it is. So, alrighty.
Yeah, well, I guess, who knows if it's a personal health issue, we may never find out exactly what's going on, but let's just say we can add it to the list. Like, it seemed like it was going to go one of two ways. Either he was going to get the job and join the team, or he wasn't going to get the job and the team was going to find some way to come up with some other solution and probably send him out. Well, it's now a third possibility that he might be slated for injured reserve while whatever illness or physical issue that he's dealing with is dealt with.
And good luck to the guy. Like, good luck to Josh Archibald. I hope he figures out how to get through. I hope he's fine in the end here. Figures out how to get through this and continues on with his professional hockey career. All right, Bruce. I guess we'll talk Friday. Thanks for talking tonight.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.